This time, let's talk about the concept of object handles. So, last time I explained the concept of an object database, and then, while explaining the object database, the concept is for the concept of an object handle. I told you that. Okay, then here. Now let's talk about what an object handle is, and how it relates to object division. First of all, the object handle is a concept that came out to solve this dangling problem that we often talk about in C and C++ languages. Now, what is the dangling problem? Let's say we had class A and class B, and in class A, the to-be pointer is always held as a variable. So we're going to assign some object to the to-be pointer. Then delete this object. Later, when we try to use this pointer to perform any operation, it will generate a crescii. Why are you doing this? I assigned an object called A. Then there must be a memory like this A in it, of course. A pointer variable called rain will also exist in that property, right? Then we assign the rain here, and the pointer variable named Evie points to the starting address of the object named Evie. But now that we erase Evie's object assigned here, the memory that was here is actually deleted. Let's say this pointer variable under Barbie, which is what we expect to start at this location, is 0x1. We expect to have a non-object at a memory address called 0x1, but now we have no non-object at that memory location. Then the memory called rain is actually not non-objects, but any kind of data can be assigned. That's why if we try to do an operation using this under wavy point, then we're doing an operation on unintended memory that we didn't expect, and that could cause a crash. So now there's often a well-known book in the game engine context called Game Engine Architecture, and there are basically three kinds of solutions. There is a method called the reference county, there is a method called the famous garbage collector, and then we talk about the concept of the object handle. Now, since reference counting garbage collectors are not something to talk about here, let's take a look at how object handles solve this dangling problem. Now, what about this variable called unberberby? We're no longer holding it in the form of a b pointer. We're declaring this field using the concept of a handle now. And what kind of carpet does this handle have? This object's identifier has a unique identifier. Now, here's the object. It is linked to the concept of db, last time. When we assign an object, we add quality to this db, and then add quality at the same time. I said I would get an identifier back here, and it's 64-bit. But inside 64-bit, there are two things mixed together. Bilid ID is now used to identify each object in this video. And then the slot index of what slot it's in goes into 64 bits like this. Anyway, this information is still being held by this handler. So instead of using the under Barbie operator like before, we are now using the handle and currently using this under Barbie LAN field. To verify if a non-instance exists, or if the memory address is valid, you can check the Bilid complex. How do you check validity? This handle has a 64-bit unique identifier, and its value is derived from bit active people in part. It was said that this object's unique Belid ID is combined with information about how many objects LAN's index it corresponds to. So, for example, this handle, this field, this handle, this one. So I want to test it now to see if it is meaningful. At this time, the object. Ask the DB. Hey, does the guy in the second index really have an ID of 20? That's what I'm asking. Then if, wait a minute. I looked at the slot in the second index and saw that the ID was 10. Then, the guy you're pointing to now is actually meaningfully alive. Then you say that you are pointing to the target you intended. So you say that you are doing Belid. Okay? So can you do Imbelid? Because I went to the second slot and it was my ID. What does this mean? What does this handle variable called this under and rain at the beginning? If we were to draw a picture here a little bit, what would have been assigned here at the beginning? In times like this, the ID was borrowed, the ID was 10, and then the slot index was this. Now, by the way, this rain is called new. This non-object that was assigned through the new Biran operator here is gone. Alright then. Is there a change in this wheel? There's no change. This handle is this unbar, and the handle is just a 64-bit ID on the object that was assigned to me. Whether he disappears or not, I just have these teeth. But sleep. We said that the object 2b that we assigned here through the new Pyran operator was the one assigned to the second index on the slow ray of the object db. However, we just have countless new utilities in the internal logic of the game engine, and objects will continue to be created and deleted. This process will keep repeating itself. Then someday this. Another rain may appear in the slow second index, not the rain assigned here. Allocation may be enough. Repeat the creation or deletion process, but for example, the ratio we assigned at this time had a field called int, and if it had a value of 10, it could have a different value. Then I thought, the information I originally assigned to this handle called under Barbie is this guy, but now I went to the second index and it's pointing to him. What does that mean? The guy I originally assigned to this under Barbie has disappeared. This means that you can recognize that you have embellied. This was a process of using handles to determine whether an object is now a valid person. Yeah, so to sort it out again, first of all, let's assign an object called Evie and put it on this handle. Then it will have a 64-bit unique identifier, but in the middle of it, Evie will disappear. Later I try to use this handle, but if he checks the belly complex, he will say that it is not bellied. Then we don't have to approach. In other words, because this ID assigned to this handle is called embelly, we don't use examples anymore. So we add a device that can prevent this dingling from happening in advance. Yes, so far we have been talking about basic object handles.